Welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here today with episode 2067 of the Cabral Concept. The weekend shows are our Cabral HouseCalls. My chance to kind of step into your home, be able to listen to your question, and be able to give you the best answer I can from the past 20 years, helping people, 20 plus years, helping people transform their bodies, their health, their mind, and kind of everything in between. So it's a great honor. It's a great pleasure for me to be able to take your questions. I appreciate your trust in me. And of course, I'm always going to do my best for you. And I will always, again, let you know if I don't have an answer. And I will also let you know that although I'm not giving you medical advice, I'm not giving you a cure or medical treatment protocol, I am giving you what I've seen happen in my practice with over 250,000 people over the last 20 plus years. And just the understanding and hopefully the hope that we've seen it all really over 25 years now, well over 250,000 client appointments. We stopped counting after 250,000. That was a few years back. And it's our goal just to share that, pay it forward. You know, you can work with any integrative health practitioner in the world, any naturopathic doctor in the world. That's totally fine with us. We just want you to make sure that you get on the track to healing your body and your mind. That's what it's all about. So without further ado, we're going to answer 6 more of our community's questions. Today is October 3rd, I believe. Let's just see, October 3rd, yes. And questions are coming in from August 19th, 20th, and 21st. So just about 5 weeks or so behind, 6 weeks behind. Not too bad at all. All right, so let's get started. Elizabeth is up first. Let's see what she says. Hi, can you explain how an imbalanced microbiome can lead to acne, please? I know about food sensitivities causing inflammation and therefore skin issues, but assuming that there aren't any food sensitivities, how can dysbiosis lead to acne? Does it increase sebum production? Thank you so much. It's a great question. And actually, no, believe it or not, leaky gut or intestinal permeability cause far more acne than food sensitivities. So I want to repeat that. Leaky gut, aka increased intestinal permeability, and if you don't know what those are, we can talk about those in a minute, lead to far more acne-based issues and psoriasis and eczema and rosacea and any skin-based issue. Okay, so I have a whole show on gut and digestion, and it's a whole podcast series. So if you want to go to stephencabral.com/podcast, just kind of scroll through the images at the top until you find the gut and digestion. Really, really important. And then I have an online course on how to heal your digestion as well. That is at stephencabral.com/courses. I have a complete thyroid course, a complete female hormones course, a complete digestion-based course. So definitely check those out. Okay, so here's the issue. When you have gut dysbiosis or an imbalance in your microbiome, typically there's an increased intestinal permeability, which means your intestinal wall actually opens up a little larger. Now, keep in mind, your intestinal wall, if I show you my buddy here, if you're watching this on video, all these intestines, it's 26 feet or so, they're permeable, especially more the small intestine. That's because they have to let out the good stuff, right? They have to let out the amino acids, the glucose, and the fatty acids. That's really important. And of course, your vitamins, minerals, etc. So what happens over time, though, is with an imbalanced gut microbiome, there's inflammation from yeast overgrowth, bacterial overgrowth, parasites, H. pylori, etc. That inflammation also increases the intestinal permeability, allowing more proteins and undigested food particles to come out. When they do, they enter the bloodstream. And there's an immune-based reaction. There's inflammation. There's also bacteria. All of that can actually begin to then be pushed out through the skin, since your skin is the largest excretory organ, the easiest way to get the toxins out, right? Gets pushed out through the skin. We know that toxins get pushed out the skin because we can measure sweat and we can see what's coming out in the sweat as well. So that is your answer. And that's why it's so important to run the labs at stephencabral.com/labs. They're at-home labs. And if you think you have an imbalanced microbiome, you want to run that bacteria and parasite test. And again, that's at stephencabral.com/labs. All right, Karim's up. I think Karim had a couple questions yesterday too. So Karim wrote, "Hi Doc, I'm obsessed with your podcast, by the way. It's the best podcast in the world." Oh, it really is. So take a moment to appreciate that, or really appreciate that, Karim. Thank you. And I'm happy to answer another one of your questions then. What a wealth of knowledge you have. Oh my gosh. So I'm trying to establish what the best time to wake up is. I'd love to wake up at 5 or 6, but I try to get a little bit more sleep because I'm a Vata body type. So I tend to wake up at 7. I saw that cortisol starts to rise at 6, but then according to Ayurveda, we need to wake up during the Vata hour, which is 4 a.m. to 5:30, not in the Kapha hour, which is 6 to 10. I'm a little confused about this because it doesn't align with the natural cortisol levels. I would have assumed that the Vata time would be when cortisol begins to rise. All right, this is really important. I really implore people not to begin to implement any Ayurvedic-based teachings unless they are working with a real certified Ayurvedic practitioner. Really, really important, because these texts were written 6,000 years ago, and there's so easy to misinterpret. They really are. The Vata hour does not mean that the Vata body type should wake up during the Vata hour. It just stands for movement, ether. The body is beginning to wake up. It's beginning to go through certain movement-based processes in the liver and the thyroid and the adrenals. And that's, again, proven out between the liver time, which is around 2 a.m., the thyroid time, which is around 4 a.m., and the adrenal time, which is around 6 a.m. So it's actually important for the Vata to sleep into the Kapha hour. Why would that be? And it's important for the Kapha to wake up more during the Vata hour. Well, the reason is that the Vata wants to sleep through the greatest spikes in sympathetic nervous system, in cortisol, because they are already sympathetic nervous system dominant. And the Kapha wants to wake up before 6 a.m. because they are already more parasympathetic based. And we want to wake them up during more of that rise in cortisol so they'll be more awake. They won't have as much brain fog. All right. So Karim, it's not complicated. It's not, but I want everyone, not just Karim, and Karim, thank you for writing this question. And I want you to understand is that you don't want to be listening to a podcast or trying to implement anything unless it's very clear instructions of what to implement for Ayurvedic-based medicine. So if you're a Vata body type, you actually want to sleep past 6 o'clock then. Yeah, that is probably going to be best for your body. It doesn't matter as much if you're getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep, because the Vata should trend more towards 9 hours, where the Kapha should trend more towards 7 hours. But again, this is if you're healthy and balanced. If you're not healthy and balanced, well, a Kapha might need to sleep more, right? So you really have to look at the overall human being, which is what Ayurvedic medicine is all about. All right, so hopefully that was helpful. Sophia's up. I'm just scanning the questions. We've got really long questions today. So I'm going to, if you want to read the questions in full, head on over to stephencabral.com/2067 for today's questions. Because I'm going to scan and kind of read parts of them so that we can keep this show under 20 minutes, because that's my goal for our audience. I want to make sure that you can tune in daily. And so I don't want to make them super long shows. Okay. Sophia says, "Hi there, Doc. I've been binging your podcast for the last 4 months now, and I'm loving it as part of my morning routine. You're such a great part of my life, and I truly thank you for all you do. Keep up the fantastic work." Thank you. Appreciate that, Sophia. I have a somewhat conscientious question regarding research studies. What's your opinion on getting open access to all research? I appreciate that with your Friday reviews, you're able to give a simplified analysis of these long and highly esoteric studies to lay people like me, and you've inspired me to do my own research now. Do you have any advice for obtaining research study literacy? Which research libraries do you use for your Friday reviews? Okay, this is a great question. And then let me read the end of it. Do you only read the ones that are free? Do you think it's worth it to become a member to certain libraries that are doing good work and necessary research? All right. Yeah. I'm happy to answer this. And I actually answered it just last week. So I answered this on last week's House Calls, where I said I typically use Google Scholar and I use PubMed. So that's the starting place right there, okay? For most people, they're completely free. PubMed and Google Scholar, all right? So those are super simple, and you're able to find tons of free research. I also use scientific journals that I'm a subscriber to, New England Journal of Medicine, places like that I enjoy reading. I won't read every single study. I'll read the ones that are most pertinent to what I want to learn about. And then I do pay for some as well. You spoke about in there, I think, did you speak about, SSRN and Springer as well? So those are great. Springer being more of a free one. So they're all great. And so in the beginning of my research time, I used all the free ones. And then a bunch of years back, I started paying for them. And I paid for the ones that I felt like I could get the most benefit from. And I could read all the different, instead of just an excerpt, I could actually go in deeper into the studies. So that's what I do. I don't think that most people need to pay for them, honestly, because you can get really good information on PubMed. And then you can always look for the certain agendas. You can say, okay, who sponsored this study? And you can always look that up as well to see if there's any conflicting interests. So that's what I do. I honestly believe that most people will be good to go with PubMed and with Google Scholar, which are both free. All right. Caitlin's up next. Oh, and by the way, you can teach yourself for sure to read scientific studies by reading statistics-based books, biostatistics books, et cetera. And I've actually spoken about those on previous podcasts as well. All right, Caitlin's up next. Hello, Dr. Cabral. I'm 30 years old, had my first child naturally in August 2020. Prior to pregnancy, I was slightly overweight, but showing no symptoms of toxic load. I competed in powerlifting, yoga, mountain hiking. Let's see what else. And worked as a full-time firefighter. Since having my baby, I had nothing but inflammation symptoms. I've had to adjust my diet, anti-inflammatory, following your guidance by reducing the amount of meat. Let's see what else. I've recently did a 14-day detox with good results. I finally dropped below 180 times since the first time since pregnancy. My goal weight competition was 150 to 155. I'm 5'3". I typically maintain 150, 20% body fat. This is the weight body comp I feel strongest at. My feeling is something with the pregnancy has completely thrown me off. I believe it was the tipping point in my rain barrel. Yeah, 100%. I can absolutely help you with this question. I get it. You are looking to lose about 25 pounds. You're 5'3". You want to get down to around 150. Yeah, we can absolutely help with that. And we kind of already have a bit of the answer. You did the 14-day Dr. Cabral detox, Equal Life detox, whatever you want to call it. I'm totally fine with that. And that helped you to reduce your inflammatory load, probably help with hormones, and it certainly helped with decreasing total toxic load. So that's helpful. You can do that every 12 weeks, which is fantastic. But then we want to work on that maintenance-based plan. So please listen to my podcast after that on how to maintain results and keep getting better results. So typically what people do is a 21-day Equal Life detox. You can find that at stephencabral.com/detox. Then after that, they have a nice cheat meal or flex meal, and it has carbs in it, and they kind of restore leptin levels and ghrelin levels that I've been talking about over the past week. And then what they do is then they start with the Fatlocity program, and you can find that at stephencabral.com/fatlocity, and it's Fatlocity with 2 S's. And then you begin that program, and that should get you down to your goal weight. What I'd recommend too is if you really need more individual guidance, then I would run, if you can only run one lab, it sounds like we need to run the hormonal lab for you with thyroid and estrogen dominance and a few others. So I would run the, it's called a hormones test. So stress hormones, mood and metabolism. You can find it at stephencabral.com/labs, and then look for the stress hormone, mood and metabolism, and you'll get individual guidance there. All right. Anonymous is up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I'm writing out of a place of desperation. I feel like my body is literally breaking down. I realize I cannot give into that mindset. It does not serve me. My health is negatively affecting my daily function. I need direction of what to do. I've learned a great deal from you, and I'm grateful. I struggle with symptoms of fatigue and sleep, urticaria, skin issues, cysts, digestive issues. symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis and allergies, inflammation, weight issues, cold hands and feet, brain fog, memory issues, mild fibroids, struggle with word recall, imbalanced cortisol, etc. There are recent concerns about blood pressure and cholesterol. My heart rate is usually elevated between 100 and 150-ish. Even when I wake up, it's in the hundreds. I've been to many doctors and specialists. I started my holistic health journey by running labs with your team and then found an integrated provider to support me locally. I've done thermography, which revealed lymph congestion, inflammation, immune system is chronically activated. I've completed mold and CBO protocols. Next thoughts are to explore metals, biodentists, hidden infections, and Lyme. What else should I be looking at? I respect your opinion and perspective. Thank you for your patience. Happy to help. I mean, listen, this sounds like me. Honestly, this sounds like me at 17, 18 years old, all the way through almost 27. I mean, this was me. Honestly, this was me at that age. I had Addison's disease and a few other things, but you know, you're there, right? So what do we do? Well, you know, you have to understand there's lymph congestion. There'll be all of these things, and you can't fix lymph congestion without fixing the sympathetic nervous system dominance, right? So that's it. So you're in a state of sympathetic nervous system dominance. You're in a state of fight or flight, high stress. It's shown by all the issues you're having, as well as the elevated heart rate, right? Because you can't be in the parasympathetic and have a high heart rate. It doesn't work that way. You only have a high heart rate when there's higher levels typically of norepinephrine and cortisol. So there's some issue going on with cortisol, but what's affecting cortisol? Cortisol doesn't just elevate on its own. So what we really want to look at is what's causing the sympathetic nervous system dominance. And it's typically mind and body. Yes, let's look for what's going on with pain in the body. Let's go what's going on with maybe mold, maybe heavy metals, no doubt about it. But also we need to work on the mindset. And since I went through this myself, I can honestly tell you a big part of it is the mind as well. Meaning, like, what are you stressed about? I was super stressed going into senior year because I was the oldest in my family. I was a perfectionist. I had to do well in school. I had to graduate in National Honor Society. I had to get a scholarship to go for college. Like I wanted that. I had to get into the schools that I wanted to get into. Then I was worried about leaving all my friends and my family for the first time ever. And then when I got to college, I had to do well in college. I wanted to maintain my scholarship that I got for grant scholarship for college. I wanted to meet friends. I wanted to have relationships. I was super stressed. And back then, if you asked me if I was stressed, I'd be like, no, I'm just normal, right? But that's stress, right? I was working a job while going to college. It was too much. It was too much. And I share that with you because hopefully some of it resonates. I had to work on this mind as well as this body. The two work together. My psychology affected my physiology, and my physiology, of course, then affected my psychology because I felt worse because my body didn't feel well. So it was a really tough place to be. And that's why I didn't get well until I graduated with college, could start to settle into a routine of a job, could get better control of my life, and honestly have less responsibility. Even though I had a job, I had met my wife. She was my girlfriend at the time. I wasn't, the relationship thing kind of was in the back of my mind. I had a great relationship. I had a job that I loved as a nutritionist and personal trainer when I was 22. And I could start that healing process. Now I was still stressed because I was a type A individual and a perfectionist, all that. But I learned to work with that. And so it's all part of the healing journey. So you need to work on both. All right. Hopefully that was helpful. Caitlin is our last question of the day. And she writes in, it's the same Caitlin. The question was just written in twice. All right. Well, let's get in one more question because we already answered that question. This one's from Andrea. Hey, Doc, I'm 23-year-old, Vata, female. My breakfast for almost 2 years has been wild blueberries, gluten-free oats, oat milk, daily nutritional support powder, and a teaspoon of MCT oil or another healthy fat. Recently, I replaced the blueberries with banana and 2 teaspoons of organic matcha. And to be honest, I'm obsessed. I love it. I just feel a little bad because I know that having wild blueberries every day is important for the antioxidants and anti-carcinogenic benefits. Did I make a bad decisions? I've read that 1 teaspoon of matcha has 17 times more antioxidants than blueberries. So maybe I'm fine. Do you think switching back to blueberries is vital, or am I getting the same benefit with the banana and the organic matcha? It's a great question. These are great questions to have. They really are. I love saying it. It's like, what's the saying? These are champagne problems, right? These are great problems to have. Should I have some beautifully dark green matcha powder for antioxidants, or should I have these beautiful deep blue purple, blueberries in my, because you're doing great. So first of all, you're doing fantastic. What we're talking about is the icing on the cake, the healthy cake, right? Gluten-free, dairy-free cake right here. So my recommendation is this. The matcha for antioxidants is going to be totally fine as opposed to the wild blueberries, all right? So you're going to be totally fine there. However, in the grand scheme of things, on a daily basis, we want to get in our greens, our reds, our orange, our yellow, our purple, and our blue veggies and fruits. So if you're not getting any blues and purples on a daily basis, it might be nice to get some wild blueberries in there at a different time of the day. Or could you not add some wild blueberries still to your nice little breakfast? And if you don't like the flavor with the wild blueberries there, maybe eat the wild blueberries before you eat that really nice breakfast. Or, you know what, in the grand scheme of things, you can still live a long, healthy life without ever eating wild blueberries. So no matter what, looks like you're doing great. I don't want to throw you off by too much. Keep on keeping on. And, you're a role model for the rest of us out there. So really appreciate all of your questions here today. Thank you so much. Hopefully this has been helpful. And of course, I'll be back with answering more of your questions next weekend. But tomorrow, we have our Mindset and Motivation Monday. Don't miss it. All right, take care, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into the show today. And before you go, I want to make sure that you know about this amazing offer over at Equilife. Right now, you can get a free box of one of our most popular products, which are these superfood chocolate bars. These are actual dark chocolate bars that you don't have to feel guilty about eating. At only 90 calories and only 5 grams of fat, you are looking at an organic chocolate bar that tastes like cherries, raspberries, and chocolate. So if you like raspberry and you like chocolate, you're going to love this bar. Picture a small, individually wrapped, organic dark chocolate bar that's loaded with superfoods as well, such as apple, cherry, and raspberry. What you really come across, though, is the dark chocolate and that raspberry taste, a little touch of cherry as well. They're absolutely delicious. My family loves them. We keep them in the refrigerator, and I have no doubt you will as well. And right now, every single order, while supplies last, will ship with qualifying orders over $99 from Equilife with a free box of chocolate superfood bars. Again, absolutely amazing. You can go to stevencabral.com/Equilife for all of the details, or stevencabral.com/chocolate to head on over to these chocolate superfood bars. Check them out, try them out, let me know what you thought. Love to hear from you. Take care.